Hey, this is Matt Wimmer from Broudy Precision. In this video, we are taking a look at the state of T1L or single pair Ethernet, depending on how you call it, and looking at what the current market looks like, what devices are available. Things have picked up a little bit more steam since the last video that we did on T1L about 2 years ago. More devices. We've got Switch now. We've got more controllers that are going to be available here in the very near future, and a bunch of different options for media converters that make your life a little bit easier depending on your exact use case. So before we jump into it, here's a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Broudy Precision, your trusted partner for building automation and controls. Now covering the entire East Coast from our Philadelphia headquarters with team members spread throughout our territory. At Broudy, we do things differently. Our Philadelphia warehouse is not just full of random product. We have thoroughly tested and vetted everything on our shelves, ensuring you can get in and out of your jobs as efficiently as possible and that we can properly support you should an issue arise, even if you're the first customer to use a new product. We're here to help you from start to finish, from product selection to technical support, with highly experienced team members in sales and engineering. We pride ourselves on giving our customers a tremendous set of resources free of charge. New to the Honeywell ecosystem? No worries, we offer customized training that meets you where you are and brings you up to speed. BP Tech Center, our software and documentation repository, was built in-house to keep you up to date with automated notifications on new software and important content releases from the vendors that you use. All available exclusively to Broudy Precision customers. In addition, our web store, with its real-time inventory, makes placing orders quick and easy so that you can get that order in even if it's 11 o'clock at night. To learn more, check us out at broudyprecision.com and store.broudyprecision.com. If you have specific questions or you would like a quote, shoot us an email at sales@broudyprecision.com or give us a call, 610-825-7200. All right, so let's take a look at what the state of T1L is here in May 2026. So if you are not familiar with what T1L is, we made a video a few years ago, as I mentioned before, that goes into a lot more detail. I'm going to sort of speed run through this basic stuff that we cover in more depth in that other video. But T1L is essentially a new physical layer for Ethernet that allows you to do much longer distances, and the caveat for that is that it's lower bandwidth, so it's only 10 megabits as compared to our normal Ethernet that we use on a day-to-day basis and most other devices, which is gigabit. It was made specifically for the kind of uses that we're going to be typically seeing it in, building automation stuff, and it's sometimes referred to as SPE or single pair Ethernet. The major benefits of using T1L, why you should care about T1L, is that it's a lower cost for cable. If you're doing a new install, you don't need the full Cat6 cable runs. You can just do a single twisted pair, and you've got effectively, for our use cases, the same functionality as that Cat6 cable would give you. And for retrofits, we can reuse existing cable. So LAN wire, BACnet wire, all works perfectly well with T1L, and there's not actually even a specification for the wire type that you need to use for T1L. And we've tested it with a bunch of different wire and have had really good success. Even with mixing wire types, it still works, so very resilient. So just a basic sort of look here at what the specifications are for T1L compared to other Ethernet, physical layer Ethernet specifications. So if we look down here at the bottom, our T1L that we care about is this guy at the top. It's 10 megabits per second, but we get 1,000 meters, we get a kilometer of distance that we can do on a single run of T1L, compared to a standard 10 base T, which is, using your Cat3, so 2 twisted pairs. That's only 100 meters, but it's still that 10 megabits per second. These all work the same way as our standard Ethernet that you're used to works, which is point-to-point. So you're going through a switch, or you're talking directly between devices. Typically, in our use cases, we'll be talking through a switch. But it's not like RS-485 or LAN, where you had the ability to use all of these other topology types like daisy chain, star, that kind of stuff. We are only doing point-to-point with single pair Ethernet or T1L. Another thing that's worth noting is that typically the terminations for T1L are going to be a terminal block, where you're literally just wiring in your two wires. Or in some cases, like Phoenix Contact, we'll talk about in more depth here in a moment, they use an actual physical connector. You can see it's just two conductors, like we would expect, but it does have a physical connector that you would put your wire into and set up and use. So that is the basics on that. All right, so one thing that's really important to keep in mind here is that Ethernet is Ethernet. Just because we are now on a single pair and we're not on a Cat6 wire with an RJ45 connector on the end, we're still basically sending the same data across. It's just that the way that the data is being sent along those wires is a little bit different electrically. What this means is that we have to use a media converter to handle that physical layer connection. These devices are dumb, though, from our perspective. We don't log into them and configure anything. They don't need IP addresses, nothing like that. We give them power. We plug in our T1L on one side and our RJ45 connection on the other side, and those devices on the network look exactly the same. They are still Ethernet devices. You can sort of think about this if you're familiar with it. Fiber is used a ton in Ethernet and networks, and it works the same way. Fiber connections between switches or between devices would be the same as us using T1L. Everything on that network looks identical. You wouldn't know that you're even talking through fiber, which you don't right now when you're talking to YouTube, for instance. Somewhere along the way, you're talking over fiber optic, and you might not even realize it because it's all Ethernet at the end of the day. It's only that physical layer that is different. So when we are using T1L, though, and we want to get back to our normal Ethernet RJ45 network that we're used to, we have to use that media converter to get from our T1L single pair over to the RJ45 networks. And back in the previous video, we only had one option for that media conversion. It was that Honeywell adapter here on the left. That was the only real option that we had to do that conversion for us. Now there are other players in the game. T1L is kind of taking off, which is a very good thing. Nobody owns T1L as a specification. It's an IEEE specification, just like all of the other Ethernet specifications are. It is no different on that side of things, which is why you're seeing everyone pick it up. So we've got a Loytec media converter now as well, and this one is interesting because it has 2 Ethernet ports and 2 single pair Ethernet or T1L ports, and these are not bridged to each other, so it's essentially like having 2 of these Honeywell adapters in a single box. iSMA is going to be coming out with their own T1L converter, and Contemporary Controls announced one at AHR earlier this year, and that will be coming out soon as well. Now, one of the more interesting and more powerful devices out there that lets you use multiple maybe spans or trunks of T1L or single pair Ethernet, depending on how you want to call it, is this Phoenix Contact switch. What is really cool about this is it's just a switch. So you can think about all of these connectors on the left-hand side here, which are our T1L connectors, which use this connector here on the right. You can think of them just as regular Ethernet ports. So all of these devices are now on a switch, able to talk to each other. You're able to configure that switch however you need to, because this is also a managed switch. So you have a lot of flexibility there, and it's a single device, whereas if you wanted to do all of these individual trunks with something like the Honeywell media converter, you're talking about a whole bunch of media converters to make that all go. So simplifies things a lot. Phoenix Contact also, as I mentioned, makes the connector here, which I've got one of them here. And you can't really see it too well on the picture, but basically it comes in two parts. Put your wire in, and then it basically, when you close the parts together, it makes the connection and essentially punches down the wire into the connector, but very easy to do. You don't need any tools to make it happen. And then Phoenix also makes patch cables with those connectors already on the ends at various lengths. This is the 5-meter version, I think, and they do make them at other lengths as well. So you've got some flexibility there on how exactly you want to handle the connection part of it. In my opinion, the ideal thing would have been just to put terminal blocks on that switch as opposed to having to use these special connectors, but we take what we can get, and I think this flexibility here still makes it worthwhile using those connectors. And then on the controller side of things, we've got some more things happening as well. Honeywell has a pretty wide range of devices now that talk over T1L. So the optimizer Unitary comes in a T1L flavor, as well as the optimizer VAV also comes in a T1L flavor, in addition to several other flavors for both of those as well. So that you have the ability to connect these to your T1L networks. An important thing to point out with these and all T1L devices that you'll see from just about everyone is that they will have 2 T1L ports on them. We can't daisy chain on these devices, right? Which means we can't take our in and our out wires to the same terminal block. That would be a daisy chain. But we can have 2 Ethernet adapters or T1L adapters on that controller, which is what they're giving us, and we could send one of those wires are in on T1L1, and you could go out on T1L2. A really cool thing about the T1L chips that sort of make all of this Ethernet smarts happen now is they also have the ability to say if your controller is offline, it's not powered, it can close a contact or 2 contacts, 2 relays, and have that T1L port 1 and T1L port 2 bridge across each other. So effectively, you are still able to talk on that bus even if a device is offline. And because we have a kilometer of wire length possible on T1L, you're probably not going to run into any issues with your wire length being too long between 2 devices. So pretty nifty little thing that they've built into those chips to make that happen. And then Phoenix Contact is using T1L for their I/O only at the moment on the Catan controllers. And then iSMA is working on a T1L VAV controller, which should be coming out soon. So that is the current state of things with T1L. I think there's a lot of progress being made there, and I think there will be a lot more in the next 2 years, because that's sort of the time difference between the last video that we did on T1L and today, because I think more and more people are seeing the value there, and more customers are picking up and using it and asking about it from these manufacturers. So if you are aware of any other T1L devices that fit in to the building automation space, or that you'd like to see more of or more information about, you can leave that down in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.